For you, in terms of my side of the program only, how has it helped as an outcome, something that's before and after, as an impact?
I think if I were to summarize in a couple of sentences, one of the main things would be that, it has helped us flush out several things about our business that we knew of, but was hiding in our communication, or it was like unsaid, like we have those said and unsaid things, right, with
Yeah.
customers, something like that. And I think it has allowed us to position ourselves very uniquely in front of the customers, as well as in against competition,
Mhm.
clearly. And I think it has also given us a lot of more clarity on our value proposition
Mm.
and revenue model. So, our communication to our customers has gotten that much better on the value communication bit. Something we used to struggle with earlier because we were all over the place. So, yeah, I think these two things are the very clear main things, because we knew what business we are in and all. But I think the value proposition, the revenue model, and the whites, the
White
that
space.
exercise of the fit one, fit two, fit three, I think was brilliant. As in, I just made our sales team do the same thing last week.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's good.
Because I did it, and I think it was a big realization. So I thought they should also do the same exercise. So we did a 1-day workshop on just doing that same thing.
So it's really like a little bit like the last mile dots connection kind of thing that you sort of need to put everything together in context, right?
Yeah, in context. And as you know, ours is a very complicated, lot of layers in terms of different customers, different technologies, different value. And we also got very good templates from you in terms of how to put information, right, in different buckets and in different sections. So a small thing, but I think these templates help a lot in putting it, articulating it correctly and putting it down. So
yeah. Okay. What was something that was a key insight or learning that you don't know that you don't know?
Definitely, one was the white space exercise that we did on how different we are than competition, and how do we continue to be different and increase the difference to a level where it's again 0 to 1 difference in front of competition. So I think that way of looking at it, and then aligning business strategy, technology development to kind of cater to that, I think that is solid, and that is clearly logic, right? It's driven by logic and evidence, right? So I think that was very key insights, that we were on that track, but I think that really helped us further focus, saying, yes, this is what we need to focus on. Let's leave the clutter around alone, and let's just go with this.
Yeah.
Because this is the logic that makes sense to focus on this and get this 10x better than what we are today. I think this is, the highlight of all there. See,
Okay.
otherwise, on the other business part, we were aware of what the customer wants, and more or less it's there. It's more like articulating it was an exercise. But what we didn't know, or you don't know that you don't know, I think this is one of the
Yeah.
main.
And how is the commercial model part of the revenue model and pricing one working out for you?
One of the key things is that a lot of times our customers would ask us, what do you do? How do you charge and all? And we used to throw the ball at them saying, okay, what do you need? And we can customize it. That would go down one road. And now when we just show this is what we do, this is what we are, that automatically goes down a second road, which works better for us from the first road in terms of profitability and all. So I think that commercial model is better. Yeah, and we are kind of tuning the thought process of the customer to pick of one of them rather than be all over the place.
Yeah. So you reduce the friction to buy, basically. That's what it is, right?
And it helps decision making. It's a take it or leave it kind of a process.
Yeah. So it takes a lot of time and effort for you to work through all this exercise and learn, while you're, obviously trying to run a business. Why was it worth it to take the time, really put the time in and actually work through this process?
I think time was the most critical for us, given the other startups and us. We're in the 7th year of business, and me spending time on this was a very big call. At the current stage we are at, it was a stage where we had a lot of market feedback, decent revenue, decent traction, and we know where we are at. And we had a few opportunities of pursuing some new business model. The dashboard play was something new. So I think it was as good as starting afresh to relook at things and actually put in that full effort of evaluating where we are at, what works, what doesn't work, and then come out with logic. So we were lucky that we were in a stage re-looking at strategy, re-looking at business models, And this program helped us parallelly get a whole lot of clarity. So we just stopped doing that strategy sessions internally and we said, let's go through the program. I think we'll have answers to it directly at the end of it if we follow the process. So
Okay.
I think it was paramount that we put in efforts. And for me to put in efforts, I used to put only weekend. So I know I used to bother you over the weekend. I've lost access to this because I wake up and I'm like, let's do this. And I'm like, oh crap, I've lost access to this. So it was for me, back to back Saturday, Sundays over 3-4 weeks to 3-4 months to kind of just do this because you have to think and put down things and then kind of discuss with you. So it was worth it. It was worth it. And if ever we do have this question of where are we at, what are we doing, I think we know the process for this to eventually come out with what we need to do.
Yeah, and would you think that also this is something that if you do once, so it really help you clarify next couple of years kind of thing? It's not just for now.
Yeah, actually, it at least puts down perspectives of what we need to achieve, why, when, how, and then kind of look at that, of course, with resources, what we can do, what we cannot do. But it puts perspective that today we are here, this is where we want to achieve. Why do we want to achieve that? Because it gives us a 10x advantage. Okay, so what does that mean? So I think it gets us the full process that if we achieve this, what this means. If we don't achieve this, what it.
If a company or founders don't do this in retrospect, what do you think would have been the consequences and the cost to their business?
But definitely where we are, it was very useful, very, very useful. I said if we were in the early stage, this definitely would have been useful because there are so many things that we don't know and so many things that we need to kind of put down in words and not just think about it. Because once you have to put down in words, then you really need to make the sentence, right? You can't put anything there. You can't put half sentences. You can't put any gibberish there. So I think that allows you to think deep and articulate it. And wherever you don't have information, go out and research and get that information. And I think it is even valid for scale ups as well. Depending on what are they doing, is that good? Is that not good? Especially in case companies are struggling in some cases of beating competition, finding the uniqueness, finding what is working, what is not working, and all. So I believe all this helps you get a good clarity on if it's not working, why is it not working. I think clarity allows you to know reality of where are we, why are you where you are. Is your business model working? Is your value proposition correct? Are you communicating the right value proposition? How is your competition beating you? Where are you in versus your competition?
Okay.
And why is your customer buying from someone else than you?
Okay.
How can he stop buying from you and buy from someone else? So how do you have to up your game so that you continue to be better than competition and more closer to the customer? At this point of time, what do we want to be? How do we be that? And then it's all strategy on paper. And then it leads to execution with results, numbers that allow you to see, again, come back to this on what is working, what is not working, and all. But that clarity helps at every stage.
Yes.
Because you have answers to what is working, what is not working, because you know everything.
Was the whole program, all the modules, you think that was more powerful, or do you think it's more like maybe single parts of the module is good enough?
I think the modules are connected, right? The first one is understanding the customer. Then it is what the jobs to be done. Against the jobs to be done, you put down the gains and the pains. Then you figure out the value proposition. Then from the value proposition, you carve out the fit for the customer. You find out, and then that's one exercise. Then you do compare it to competition. How are you better? How will you be better? And then you figure out what is the roadmap there, which is the fit too. And these two have to go together, right? To selling and to create barriers for selling together. And then basis this, the commercial model. So I believe it's interconnected. Doing one thing outright could work, but I think doing all modules makes more sense. I believe all modules are should be done. Even if there's clarity, might as well just put it down. If there's clear, put it down. It'll be quick enough.
Okay, why is it important also for the team and co-founders to do it together and to be aligned on this?
Co-founders should do this. That's one. Secondly, if a team member does it and there's a learning, unless a co-founder goes through the process, the learning is not transferred, right? The effect, like it's all just, someone has done the program and this is the learning. Okay, should we do it? Should we not? But when you do it yourself, you really realize if you're shitting bricks in one side or things are good and the confidence increases on the other side, right? That this is good because this is the logic for everything, right? So I think for us, if I wouldn't have done it, it wouldn't have this
Well,
wouldn't be.
yeah, exactly. That's why in the beginning, I think you were not really in it, and I was like, the CEO has to do this because he will have the decision, and he will make the decision against the person who did the program,
Right, right, yeah.
kind of thing, right?
I would say to involve more team members and get them committed, at least on the exercise of this, because the founder knows the company the best, but I think important people like the head of strategy or other co-founders that have different elements, I think involving them makes sense because everyone is doing it together. Like even my co-founders are part of a couple of exercises in the middle, and there was overwhelming feedback from them. So in hindsight, probably get the full founding team to do this exercise independently and then internally combine it together to create, because everyone thinks differently, right? The BD guy will think differently, the tech guy will think differently, the ops guy will think differently. Of course, there will be war, there will be difference of opinions, but then putting everything down and getting you to kind of look at it and kind of comment from a third person perspective of what makes sense, what doesn't make sense is a good realization. So I think getting more people involved, more senior people involved is there. I know it's a lot of investment in time, but I think it's worth it. It will be worth it eventually. It's a 6 month cycle, and I think getting more people involved is a recommendation. Yeah, I think thinking it through, finishing it off before the coaching session is very important, at least a couple of days before. So you can sleep over it and look at it just before the session and tune it. And then basis your feedback, that gives another 2 weeks to relook at it, because you may be filling it all wrong and you have to redo the exercise. So I think the sessions that you have, half an hour and 1 hour, work well, because the half an hour catches the mistakes right up front. And so you've thought through, you put it down, the mistakes. And I think your videos on that Sofos website, I think is very straightforward. Go to the video, do the process, and then get your first feedback and then redo that process. So yeah, I think that helped a lot. So every module, I think there are 5-6 modules, 6 months. Every module is 1 month kind of a thing, right? Two weeks of that. So, yeah, and I think in your videos there are very clear cut examples, and you have like a directory of options, right? Like when you think of any business, what could be the potential entry barriers, right? So you also have given a directory in your video to think of. Is it IP? Is it people? Is it this?
Right,
that? That is a good cheat sheet to think, right? Is it, because I used to take a screenshot, print it out, and think, is it IP? Write it down. Is it this? Cancel it. Is it this? Cancel it. So, it is not me thinking what is the secret sauce. It's more like you're giving a guidance. Is it this? And then I think in my company, is there something related to this that could be a secret sauce?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit, note it down. If not, okay, this is not relevant to us, and so on. So I think that further helps in thinking, because we're not relying on just us, but a kind of a cheat sheet to look at it and think of. So I think the videos have really helped in kind of further putting everything down and collating it together.
And then the recording video of the coaching session, does that help? And actually watching it again?
Yeah, of course, because I used to do it 1-2 weeks on the weekend, right? So for me, with things in my mind, I would even forget what to do, because I wouldn't have time to write notes. There was just too much there. So the recording would help, where I would go through the recording first. These are the things I need to look at. These are things I need to do, and then get on with the iteration. So I think that was a savior, right? And sometimes I've forgotten, and I bothered you all over the weekend that the video is not there. Please send the video, because without the video, iterating is like, okay, I don't know what needs to be done. Yeah.
What about when you watch the video of the coaching session? When you're observing it, do you hear more things as well that you might miss out?
Yeah, of course. We can't remember everything, right? In 1 hour, 3 people are talking. So I don't think anyone will remember everything, right? And sometimes you've been kind enough to put some markers, and I have put some markers, but a lot of time it's just discussion that, think of this, think of that. So that gets missed out. So I think that videos, if we don't look at the video, the iteration is only half work, right? Then we'll be missing out a few things. I think when you look at other people's canvas, I think it gives a perspective of the level of thinking that probably needs to be done. Everything, right? Everything. I think the whole process, the canvas itself, the templates itself, the ability. I think Mural is a very good tool because PPT has its own issues, and I think Mural allows you to do several things in a more systematic manner without frustration about formatting and all. So what I used to do after reading the videos is first use whatever is in the video to note down like the options, right? You said think of this, these could be the options like for entry barriers like IP, people and all, right? So that. Second is, I think even during the value proposition session, there were further questions you had given in when you zoom in and you see there were questions. I think about in red. So I would take a print of that and actually handwrite answers first to each one of them.
Oh, okay.
And then use all of that to start typing and collate it because typing is the easier part there. Thinking is the main important part. So for every exercise, there is enough questions where you just follow the questions. You ask this, write it down. You ask this, write it down, and automatically you will be able to.
So the whole process was quite guided, you're saying, as a process that really
pretty guided if you focus on everything. Like I used to always see, is there something I've missed? That is another guideline for this because you want to be thorough. As in, I wanted to be thorough. I don't want to miss it because you're putting so much of effort. Might as well do it properly. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure knowing you and working with you, and you've helped us. I think a lot of things that you did in the coaching will change the legacy of Planys, at least, definitely.